I'm the kind of guy who gets suspicious if my sandwich is cut evenly. Call it paranoia, call it experience, but after 15 years managing construction projects in Minneapolis, I've learned that when things look too perfect, someone's usually hiding a crack in the foundation. My name is Sam Callahan, and I should have seen the cracks in my marriage long before my wife Emily decided to take a wrecking ball to it. It started 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday that felt like any other Tuesday in our modest 2-story house on Elm Street. Emily was making her usual morning coffee, scrolling through her phone with that little smile she used to save for me. These days, that smile seemed reserved for her screen. "Who's texting you so early?" I asked, trying to sound casual while buttering my toast. "Just work stuff," she said, not looking up. "You know how crazy things get at the marketing firm." I knew Emily's work schedule better than she thought I did. Her firm didn't start sending emails until 9 a.m., and it was barely 7:30, but I let it slide. Marriage is about picking your battles, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Over the next few days, Emily's behavior shifted like a house settling on a bad foundation. She started working late, claiming client emergencies. She'd take calls in the bathroom with the shower running. Her phone, which used to sit casually on the counter, suddenly required a password and lived permanently in her purse. My best friend Dave noticed it too when he came over for our weekly poker game with the guys. "Dude, Emily's acting weird," he said, dealing cards while Emily claimed another urgent work call upstairs. "She used to hang out and trash talk our poker skills. Now she disappears faster than my paycheck at a casino." Dave works security at the Mall of America, which means he's professionally trained to spot suspicious behavior. When Dave says someone's acting weird, you listen. "Maybe she's just stressed about the promotion," I said, but even I didn't believe it. The real red flag came when I was doing laundry the following Sunday. Emily had always been careful about emptying her pockets, but I found a crumpled receipt in her jeans. Not just any receipt, a confirmation for a Miami hotel reservation. For 2 people. For the following weekend. My hands shook as I read the details. The Fontainebleau Hotel. 2 nights. Premium ocean view suite. The kind of place Emily and I had talked about visiting for our anniversary but could never afford. The reservation was under 2 names, Emily Callahan and Richard Franklin. Rick Franklin. Emily's college boyfriend, the guy she'd dated for 3 years before we met, the guy she claimed was just a friend when he started liking her Facebook posts again 6 months ago. I sat on our bedroom floor holding that receipt like it was evidence in a murder trial. In a way, it was. The murder of my marriage. That evening, Emily came home with Chinese takeout and acted like everything was normal. She chatted about her day, complained about her coworker Tara's latest drama, and asked about my current construction project like she actually cared. "By the way," she said, picking at her low mane, "I have to go to Miami next weekend for a conference. Last-minute thing. The company's sending me to check out some new marketing strategies." I watched her face carefully. Emily had always been a terrible liar. Her left eye twitched when she was nervous, and right now it was doing the cha-cha. "Miami sounds nice," I said. "What kind of conference?" "Digital marketing trends. Super boring stuff. I'll probably spend the whole time in hotel conference rooms." Hotel conference rooms. Right. I wondered if the Fontainebleau's premium ocean view suite counted as a conference room. "Will you know anyone there?" I asked, another eye twitch. "Maybe a few people from the industry. No one you'd know." That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling while Emily slept peacefully beside me. Or pretended to sleep. I couldn't tell anymore. Everything felt like pretense now. The next morning, Emily left for work early, claiming a breakfast meeting. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I called Dave. "I need you to help me figure out if my wife's cheating," I said without preamble. "Jesus, Sam, what happened?" I told him about the receipt, the Miami trip, the lies about the conference. Dave listened without interrupting, which is unusual for him. Dave's the kind of guy who has opinions about everything from coffee brands to foreign policy. "You want me to follow her?" he asked. "No, I want you to help me figure out what Rick Franklin's been up to lately." Dave's security job had taught him how to find information about people. Not illegal stuff, just the kind of digital detective work that anyone can do if they know where to look. Within 2 hours, Dave called back with a report that made my stomach drop. Rick Franklin owns Franklin Auto Sales on Highway 62, married to a woman named Monica, 2 kids, and here's the kicker. He's been posting photos from the same restaurants Emily's been working late at, same nights, same times. Are you sure? I cross-referenced Emily's Facebook check-ins with his Instagram posts. They've been at Manny's Steakhouse twice, the Loft 3 times, and that new sushi place downtown at least 4 times in the past month. Always on nights when Emily told you she was working late. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. The evidence was overwhelming, but part of me still hoped for an innocent explanation. Maybe they were planning a surprise party. Maybe they were working on some secret project. Maybe I was paranoid and suspicious and completely wrong. That hope died on Thursday when Emily's phone buzzed during dinner. She grabbed it quickly, but not quickly enough. The text was from conference coordinator, obviously Rick with a fake contact name. But I caught enough of the message preview to see, "Can't wait for Miami, baby." Emily excused herself to the bathroom to respond. When she came back, she was glowing. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Just excited about the conference," she said. But her smile was the kind she used to give me when we were dating, the kind that meant she was thinking about sex. I spent that night in the guest room, claiming I had a cold and didn't want to infect her before her big trip. Really, I just couldn't stand lying next to her while she probably texted her lover. Friday morning arrived like a death sentence. Emily packed her suitcase with clothes I'd never seen before, a red dress that still had tags, lingerie that definitely wasn't for a marketing conference, and a new bikini. "I thought you'd be in conference rooms all weekend," I said, nodding at the bikini. "The hotel has a pool. Might as well get some relaxation in during breaks." She kissed me goodbye at the door, the same casual kiss she'd given me every morning for 12 years. Except now, it felt like Judas kissing Jesus. After she left, I sat in my kitchen drinking coffee and staring at my phone. I had Rick Franklin's number. Dave had found it along with everything else. I could call him, confront him, demand answers. Instead, I decided to wait. Emily had taught me patience during our marriage. Now I'd use that patience against her. At 2 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Flight delayed, but finally boarding. Miss you already." At 2:15 p.m., I got another text. "Don't be jealous. It's just a harmless trip to Miami with my ex." I stared at that message for a full minute. Emily had sent it by mistake, meant for someone else, probably her friend Tara or her sister. She was telling people not to worry about her husband being jealous because the trip was harmless. Harmless. Right. My hands trembled as I typed my response. "No problem, but his wife isn't very happy about it." I hit send and immediately called Monica Franklin. Monica Franklin answered on the first ring, like she'd been waiting for someone to call and confirm her worst fears. "Is this about my husband and your wife?" she asked without saying hello. "You know? I've suspected for weeks. Rick's been acting like a teenager with his first crush. New clothes, working out, cologne that costs more than our mortgage payment. And the lies. God, the lies." Monica's voice was steady, but I could hear the anger underneath. The kind of cold fury that comes from having your suspicions confirmed. "They're in Miami together right now," I said. "I know. Rick told me he was visiting his sick aunt in Florida. His aunt died 3 years ago." We talked for 20 minutes, comparing notes like detectives working a case. Monica had found hotel receipts, unexplained charges on their credit card, and text messages that Rick had deleted, but not well enough. She'd been gathering evidence for weeks, waiting for the right moment to act. "What do you want to do about it?" I asked. I want to destroy them both, she said simply. But legally. I've got 2 kids to think about. Monica was a paralegal, which meant she understood exactly how to ruin someone's life without breaking any laws. We made a plan. Step 1 was information warfare. While Emily and Rick were getting cozy in their Miami love nest, Monica and I spent Saturday morning making phone calls. We called Emily's sister, her best friend from college, her co-workers, and her mother. We called Rick's business partner, his golf buddies, and his brother. We didn't accuse or demand. We just asked innocent questions. Hi, this is Sam, Emily's husband. I'm trying to reach her about a family emergency, but she's not answering her phone. I know she's at a conference in Miami with Rick Franklin. Do you happen to have the hotel information? The responses were priceless. Emily's sister didn't know about any conference. Her co-workers had never heard of Rick Franklin. Her mother was confused about why Emily would be traveling with an ex-boyfriend for work. Monica used the same approach with Rick's circle. By Saturday afternoon, both of our phones were ringing non-stop with concerned friends and family members asking for explanations we couldn't provide. The real fireworks started when Emily's co-worker Tara called me directly. Sam, I'm really confused, Tara said. Emily told me she was going to Miami alone for a work conference, but her sister says she's there with some guy named Rick, and there's no conference this weekend. I handle all the conference bookings for our firm. Maybe it's a different kind of conference, I said. Tara was quiet for a moment. Then, oh no, Sam, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry, be helpful. How many people at Emily's work know about this trip? Well, I might have mentioned it to a few people when I was trying to figure out what conference she was talking about. By Saturday evening, Emily's phone was probably melting from all the calls and texts she was receiving. I'd turned my phone off after the 50th call from concerned relatives and friends. Sunday morning brought the main event. Monica had driven to our house at dawn, carrying a folder full of printed emails, credit card statements, and hotel receipts. She looked like a lawyer preparing for trial. I called Rick an hour ago, she said, settling into my kitchen chair like she belonged there. Told him I knew everything and that he had 24 hours to come home and explain himself before I filed for divorce and told his business partner about the money he's been stealing from their joint account to pay for his affair. He's been stealing? $50,000 over 6 months. Fancy dinners, jewelry, hotel rooms, and that Miami trip. All paid for with business funds that were supposed to go toward inventory. I whistled low. Rick wasn't just cheating on his wife. He was committing embezzlement to do it. What did he say when you confronted him? He denied everything at first. Then he admitted to the affair, but claimed it was just emotional. Then Emily got on the phone. My stomach clenched. What did Emily say? She told me I was a jealous, paranoid wife who needed to trust my husband. She said their relationship was pure and beautiful, and I was too small-minded to understand true love. I felt my hands curl into fists. Emily, who'd been lying to me for months, had the nerve to lecture another woman about trust and understanding. That's when I told her about the money, Monica continued. $50,000 of stolen funds. Emily went very quiet. I don't think Rick had mentioned that part of his romantic gesture. Monica's phone rang while we were talking. She answered it on speaker. Monica, please. You have to listen to me. Rick's voice was desperate, panicked. This is all a misunderstanding. Emily and I are just friends. We're not doing anything wrong. Then why are you sharing a hotel room? Monica asked calmly. We're not. We have separate rooms. This is just a coincidence that we're both in Miami. I grabbed Monica's phone. Rick, this is Sam Callahan, Emily's husband, the one whose wife you've been screwing for the past 6 months. Silence. Then, Sam, I can explain everything. I'm sure you can. But first, explain it to your business partner. I'm calling him in 5 minutes to discuss the $50,000 you've been embezzling to fund your midlife crisis. You can't do that? You'll ruin my business. Your business? Rick, you've been ruining my marriage. Fair's fair. I hung up and immediately called Franklin Auto Sales. Rick's business partner, a guy named Tom, answered the phone. Tom, this is Sam Callahan. I need to tell you something about Rick Franklin and your company's finances. The conversation that followed was deeply satisfying. Tom had already noticed discrepancies in their accounts, but hadn't wanted to accuse his partner without proof. When I explained about the affair and the stolen money, Tom went silent for a long moment. I'll be conducting a full audit Monday morning, he said finally. And Rick's not welcome back until this is resolved. Monica and I spent the rest of Sunday fielding phone calls and coordinating our response. Emily's mother called to express her disappointment. Rick's brother called to apologize for his siblings' behavior. Emily's sister called to offer me her spare bedroom if I needed a place to stay. The best call came from Dave around dinner time. Dude, you're famous, he said, laughing. Emily's coworker posted about the whole thing on Facebook. It's been shared like 200 times. Everyone's talking about the Miami cheaters. What exactly did she post? A screenshot of Emily's text about the Harmless trip with her ex, along with the story about Rick stealing money to pay for it. She tagged it, "When keeping it real goes wrong," and "Why you shouldn't text your affairs to the wrong people." I felt a mix of satisfaction and embarrassment. I hadn't wanted our private business spread all over social media, but Emily had brought this on herself. My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Sam, we need to talk. There are things you don't understand. I'm coming home tomorrow morning." I showed the text to Monica, who snorted with disgust. "Now she wants to talk," Monica said, "after getting caught red-handed in Miami with a thief." "What are you going to do when Rick comes home?" I asked. Monica's smile was sharp as a blade. "I'm going to let him explain himself, and then I'm going to hand him divorce papers and a bill for $50,000. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Not because my marriage was over, that part hurt like hell, but because I finally knew the truth. Emily had made her choice, and now she'd have to live with the consequences. Monday morning arrived with a thunderstorm that matched my mood perfectly. Emily's key turned in the front door at 9:47 a.m. Monday morning. I was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper like it was any other day. Except it wasn't any other day, and we both knew it. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was disheveled, her makeup was smeared, and she was wearing the same clothes she'd left in 3 days ago. The red dress and new lingerie were nowhere to be seen. "Sam, we need to talk," she said, dropping her suitcase by the door. "I'm listening." Emily sat across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten thousands of meals, discussed our dreams, planned our future. Now it felt like a negotiating table between enemies. "What happened this weekend wasn't what you think," she began. "What do I think happened? You think Rick and I are having an affair. You think we went to Miami to sleep together. But it's not like that." I set down my coffee cup carefully. "Then what is it like, Emily?" "Rick and I have been talking. As friends. He's been having problems with Monica, and I've been feeling disconnected from you. We were just supporting each other emotionally. By booking a hotel room together in Miami." Emily's left eye started twitching. "We had separate rooms. We just happened to book at the same hotel because Rick got a good deal through his business connections." "His business connections that involve stealing $50,000 from his partner?" The color drained from Emily's face. "That's not—" "Rick said that was a misunderstanding." "Emily, I've seen the bank records. Monica showed me everything. Rick has been embezzling money for months to pay for your relationship. Dinners, jewelry, hotels, and that Miami trip. All paid for with stolen money." She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When she looked up, her expression had changed. The fake innocence was gone, replaced by something harder. "Okay, fine. Rick and I have feelings for each other, but nothing physical happened until this weekend, and even then, it was just... we just connected emotionally." You just connected emotionally in a premium ocean view suite? How did you? She stopped herself, realizing she'd just confirmed they'd shared a room. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot Dave had taken of her coworker's Facebook post. Emily's face went white as she read the comments, dozens of them, from people we knew expressing shock, disappointment, and in some cases, amusement at the situation. Everyone knows Emily. Your family, your coworkers, our friends. Your mother called me yesterday to apologize for raising a daughter who would cheat on her husband with a thief. Emily's composure cracked. You had no right to involve other people in our private business. Our private business? Emily, you texted someone about your harmless trip with your ex. You involved other people when you decided to have an affair. It's not an affair. Rick and I love each other. We have a connection that you and I never had. He understands me in ways you never could. There it was. The truth, finally. Not just that she'd cheated, but that she'd fallen in love with someone else. That our 12-year marriage meant less to her than a 6-month fling with a car salesman who stole money to impress her. If you love Rick so much, why are you here? I asked. Because I need you to understand. This isn't about you. You're a good man, Sam. But we grew apart. Rick makes me feel alive again. Rick makes you feel alive with stolen money and lies. The money thing is complicated. Rick was going to pay it back. With what? He just lost his business partnership. Tom kicked him out this morning. Emily's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went even paler. It's Rick, she said. Answer it. Put it on speaker. Emily hesitated, then answered the call. Rick, I'm at home talking to Sam. Emily, thank God. Monica changed the locks. I can't get into my house, and Tom fired me. He's threatening to press charges for embezzlement. Sam knows about the money, Emily said quietly. Shit. Emily, we need to leave town. Tonight. I've got about $3,000 in cash, and we can figure out the rest later. I leaned forward toward the phone. Rick, this is Sam. Are you seriously asking my wife to run away with you? Sam, look, I'm sorry about all this, but Emily and I are in love. We didn't plan for it to happen, but it did. You seem like a decent guy. You'll find someone else. The sheer audacity of it left me speechless for a moment. This man had stolen money, destroyed his own marriage, wrecked mine, and now he was offering me dating advice. Rick, I said calmly, I want you to listen very carefully. If you ever contact my wife again, if you ever come near my house, if you ever so much as drive down my street, I will make sure Monica gets copies of every text message, every email, and every receipt from your little romance. And then I'll make sure Tom gets the same information for his lawsuit. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you. Emily, you have a choice to make. You can stay here, and we'll work on ending our marriage like adults, or you can run away with a broke, unemployed thief who just lost everything because he couldn't keep his pants zipped. Emily looked back and forth between me and the phone, like she was watching a tennis match. Finally, she spoke. Rick, I need some time to think. Emily, we don't have time. Monica's already filed for divorce. She's going to take everything. We need to leave now. I said I need time to think. Emily hung up on him. We sat in silence for several minutes, the weight of 12 years of marriage hanging between us. I never meant for it to happen like this, she said finally. How did you mean for it to happen? Were you planning to ask for a divorce before you started screwing Rick? Or were you just going to keep lying to me indefinitely? I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. Rick made me feel things I hadn't felt in years. Things like what? The thrill of deception? The excitement of betrayal? Emily stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. You're being cruel. I'm being cruel? Emily, you've been lying to me for months. You've been stealing time and affection that belonged to our marriage and giving it to another man. You've humiliated me in front of our entire social circle. and I'm being cruel? You don't understand what it's like to feel trapped in a marriage that's going nowhere. Then you should have talked to me about it. You should have suggested counseling or separation or divorce. You shouldn't have decided to solve our problems by having an affair with a criminal. Emily grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I'm going to stay with my sister for a few days while I figure out what I want to do. Emily, wait. She turned back, and for a moment I saw a flash of the woman I'd married, vulnerable, uncertain, maybe even regretful. The bank accounts are frozen, I said. I moved our savings into an account with only my name on it this morning. If you want access to our money, we'll need to work out a separation agreement. You can't do that. That's my money too. It's our money, and I'm protecting it from being stolen by your boyfriend to fund your next romantic getaway. Emily's face went red with anger. You bastard, you're trying to trap me here. I'm trying to protect what's left of our assets so we can divide them fairly when we divorce. Unless you'd prefer, I let Rick steal our savings the way he stole his business partner's money. She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. I sat alone in my kitchen, surrounded by the wreckage of my marriage, and started making a list of everything I needed to do. Cancel joint credit cards, change passwords on shared accounts, find a divorce lawyer, figure out how to rebuild my life at 37. My phone buzzed with a text from Dave. Saw Emily leaving. You okay? I'm alive, I texted back. That's something. Want some company? I've got beer and terrible jokes. Come over, but bring good beer. This situation calls for the expensive stuff. Dave arrived 20 minutes later with a 6-pack of craft beer and a bag of Chinese food. Figured you might not have eaten, he said, unpacking containers of lo mein and fried rice. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Dave has always been good at knowing when to talk and when to just be present. So, what's the plan? He asked finally. Divorce. Clean, simple, fair division of assets. Emily gets half of everything, I get half of everything, we both move on with our lives. And Rick? I smiled for the first time in days. Rick's not my problem anymore. He's broke, unemployed, and facing embezzlement charges. Monica's taking him for everything he has left, which isn't much. Emily can have him if she wants, but she'll be getting damaged goods. Dave raised his beer bottle. To damaged goods and new beginnings? To knowing when to fold a losing hand. We clinked bottles and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not happiness. That would take time. But the calm that comes from finally knowing where you stand. My phone rang. Monica Franklin's name appeared on the screen. Monica, how are you holding up? Better than expected. Rick came crawling back this afternoon, begging me to take him back. He promised to get counseling, find a new job, make everything right. What did you tell him? I told him he could make everything right by signing the divorce papers and agreeing to pay me back the $50,000 he stole. With interest. And? He signed. Turns out Rick's not much of a fighter when he doesn't have stolen money to fund his courage. After Monica hung up, Dave and I spent the evening watching terrible action movies and drinking good beer. It felt like a wake for my marriage, sad but necessary, marking the end of something that had been dead for months without me realizing it. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. I'm sorry it ended like this. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. Emily had made her choices. Now we'd both have to live with the consequences. Tuesday morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was getting ready for work when the doorbell rang at 7 a.m. Through the peephole, I saw a woman I didn't recognize, mid-30s, professional attire, carrying a briefcase. Mr. Callahan? I'm Jennifer Walsh from Peterson, Walsh & Associates. I represent your wife in your divorce proceedings. Emily had hired a lawyer. Already. I haven't filed for divorce yet, I said through the door. My client would like to discuss an amicable separation agreement before formal proceedings begin. May I come in? I opened the door and led Jennifer Walsh to my kitchen table, which was rapidly becoming a war room for the dissolution of my marriage. My client feels terrible about how things ended, Jennifer began, opening her briefcase. She's prepared to offer you a very fair settlement to avoid a lengthy court battle. She slid a document across the table. I read it quickly, then read it again more slowly, making sure I understood what I was seeing. This gives Emily 60% of our assets, I said, including the house. Mrs. Callahan has been the primary earner in your household for the past 3 years. She's also requesting spousal support while she transitions to single life. I laughed out loud. Spousal support? She's transitioning to single life with a boyfriend. My client's personal relationships are not relevant to the financial aspects of your divorce. Her personal relationship with a thief who she's been supporting with our joint assets seems pretty relevant to me. Jennifer Walsh's expression didn't change. Mr. Callahan, I'd advise you to consider this offer carefully. Contested divorces can be expensive and emotionally draining for everyone involved. I'll consider it, right after I hire my own lawyer to explain why my cheating wife thinks she deserves 60% of everything we built together. After Jennifer left, I called the first divorce attorney I found online. Patricia Chen had good reviews and an opening that afternoon. Bring everything, Patricia said during our phone conversation. Bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, and any evidence of your wife's affair. If she's trying to grab 60% of your assets while cheating with a criminal, we need to be prepared for a fight. I spent my lunch break gathering documents. Bank statements showing Emily's restaurant charges on nights she claimed to be working late. Credit card bills for the jewelry she'd claimed was a gift from her mother. Hotel receipts that Dave had found online. Patricia Chen was a small woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit. She reviewed my documents with the efficiency of an accountant and the focus of a prosecutor. Your wife's lawyer is fishing, she said after 20 minutes. They're hoping you'll accept an unfavorable settlement to avoid the embarrassment of a public divorce. But based on what you've shown me, we have grounds to argue that Emily's affair constitutes marital misconduct, which could affect asset division. What does that mean in practical terms? It means Emily might end up with less than 50%, not more, especially if we can prove she spent marital assets on her affair. I felt a surge of satisfaction. Emily thought she could cheat, lie, and then take most of our assets. She was about to learn otherwise. There's something else, Patricia said. I did some research on Richard Franklin. He's facing serious legal trouble. Embezzlement charges, a civil lawsuit from his business partner, and his wife is taking him for everything in their divorce. If your wife is planning to build a life with him, she's betting on a man who will be broke and possibly in prison. That evening, Emily called me directly for the first time since she'd left. Sam, we need to talk about Jennifer's offer. I talked to my own lawyer today. We'll be making a counteroffer. A counteroffer? Sam, I'm trying to be fair here. I could have asked for much more. Fair? Emily, you want 60% of our assets and spousal support after cheating on me for months. That's not fair. That's delusional. I earned more money than you for the past 3 years, and I've been managing our household, maintaining our property, and supporting your career for 12 years. If you want to reduce our marriage to a financial transaction, we can do that, but it goes both ways. Emily was quiet for a moment. Rick says I should take you for everything you're worth. Rick's not in a position to give anyone financial advice. He's broke, unemployed, and facing felony charges. Those charges are bogus. Tom is just being vindictive. Emily, Rick stole $50,000. That's not vindictive prosecution. That's justice. You don't understand the situation. I understand it perfectly. You fell in love with a criminal, and now you're trying to fund your new life with him using my money. Emily hung up on me. Wednesday brought escalation. I came home from work to find Emily's car in my driveway and Emily herself sitting on my front porch with 2 suitcases. I'm moving back in, she announced. No, you're not. This is my house too. I have a legal right to be here. I called Patricia Chen. who confirmed that Emily did have a legal right to live in the marital home until our divorce was finalized. But she also had some advice. Document everything, Patricia said. If Emily's moving back in to make your life miserable, we need evidence of that behavior. Emily made her intentions clear within the first hour. She moved into our bedroom and informed me I could sleep in the guest room. She rearranged furniture, threw away my favorite coffee mug, and started playing music loudly while I tried to work. By Thursday, we were engaged in full psychological warfare. Emily would take hour-long showers, using all the hot water. I responded by changing the Wi-Fi password. Emily would cook elaborate meals and leave the dishes for me to clean. I responded by eating out and letting the dishes pile up. The breaking point came Friday evening when I found Emily packing our good china into boxes. "What are you doing?" "Taking my things," she said without looking up. "That china was a wedding gift to both of us." "And now I'm taking it?" I grabbed the box from her hands. "You're not taking anything until we have a legal agreement about who gets what." "Give me that box, Sam." "No." Emily tried to grab the box back. I held it away from her. She pushed me. I didn't push back, but I didn't let go of the box either. "Let go!" Emily screamed, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "You let go! This is theft!" Our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, knocked on the door. She's a 70-year-old retired teacher who's lived next door for 20 years. "Is everything all right over here?" she asked, looking concerned. "Everything's fine," Emily said quickly. "Just a small disagreement." "Sam, are you okay?" Mrs. Patterson asked, clearly not buying Emily's explanation. "I'm fine, Mrs. Patterson. Emily's just trying to take some things that belong to both of us." Mrs. Patterson looked at Emily with the same expression she probably used on misbehaving students. "Emily, dear, maybe you should let the lawyers sort out who gets what. It's not worth fighting over dishes." After Mrs. Patterson left, Emily and I stood in our living room glaring at each other over a box of china. "This is ridiculous," I said finally. "We're acting like children. You're the one acting like a child. I just want my fair share." "Your fair share according to who? You? Your lawyer? Rick?" "Don't bring Rick into this." "Emily, Rick is the reason we're getting divorced. He's absolutely part of this." Emily set down the box and looked at me with something that might have been sadness. "Sam, do you want to know the truth? The real truth?" "I'd love to hear the real truth for once." "I fell out of love with you 2 years ago. Maybe longer. We became roommates instead of spouses. Rick didn't steal me from you. He just showed me what I was missing." The honesty was like a slap in the face. Not because it was cruel, but because part of me had known it was true. We had become roommates. We'd stopped really talking, stopped making an effort, stopped being partners in anything except paying bills. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Because I thought maybe it would get better." And then Rick came back into my life, and I remembered what it felt like to be excited about someone. "So you decided to have an affair instead of asking for a divorce." "I decided to see if what Rick and I had was real before I threw away 12 years of marriage." "And now you know it's real?" Emily hesitated. "I know I can't stay married to you." It was the most honest conversation we'd had in months, maybe years. "Okay," I said. "Then let's end this properly. No more games, no more fighting over dishes. Let's divide our assets fairly and move on with our lives." "What about spousal support?" "Emily, you're 34 years old with a college degree and work experience. You don't need spousal support. You need to build your own life." "And what about Rick?" I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt something I hadn't expected: pity. "Emily, Rick is facing felony charges and a civil lawsuit. His wife is taking him for everything in their divorce. He's broke, unemployed, and possibly going to prison. If you want to build a life with him, that's your choice. But don't expect me to fund it." Emily was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe Rick and I can start over somewhere else. A new city, new jobs, new life. Maybe you can. But you'll be starting over with whatever you get from our divorce, not with my ongoing financial support. That weekend, Emily moved back out. She took her clothes, her personal items, and half the furniture. She left the china. On Sunday evening, I sat alone in my half-empty house and felt something unexpected. Relief. The war was over. The marriage was over. Now I could start figuring out what came next. My phone buzzed with a text from Dave. Want to grab dinner? I heard about Emily moving out. How did you hear about that? Small town, big mouths. Plus, Mrs. Patterson posted about it on the neighborhood Facebook group. I laughed, despite everything. In a few months, I'd probably be grateful for the neighborhood gossip network. Right now, I was just grateful for friends who showed up with beer and terrible jokes when life fell apart. Come over, I texted back. Bring pizza. We're celebrating my freedom. 3 weeks after Emily moved out, I thought the worst was behind me. Our lawyers were negotiating a settlement that would give each of us 50% of our assets. Emily had stopped trying to steal household items. Rick had been formally charged with embezzlement and was too busy preparing for trial to cause more drama. I was wrong about the worst being behind me. Monday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The first text was from Dave. Dude, call me ASAP. Emily's lost her mind. The second was from my sister in Chicago. Sam, what the hell is happening? Mom's freaking out. The third was from my boss. We need to talk. Come in early. I called Dave first. Emily's telling people you hit her, he said without preamble. She posted on Facebook last night claiming you've been physically abusive throughout your marriage and that she's been afraid to leave because you threatened her. My blood turned to ice water. That's completely false. I've never laid a hand on Emily. I know that. You know that. But Emily's got pictures of bruises on her arms, and she's claiming you caused them. What bruises? When? The photos are from last Friday night, when you two were fighting over the china box. I remembered that night clearly. Emily had tried to grab the box from me, and I'd held it away from her. She'd pushed me, and I hadn't pushed back. But in her effort to get the box, she might have bumped into furniture or grabbed my arms hard enough to bruise herself. Dave, she bruised herself trying to steal our wedding china. I was defending our property, not attacking her. I believe you, but the photos look bad, and Emily's playing the victim perfectly. She's got people convinced you've been secretly abusing her for years. I drove to work in a fog of disbelief and rage. Emily wasn't just trying to take my money now. She was trying to destroy my reputation and possibly get me arrested for domestic violence. My boss, Jim Morrison, was waiting in his office with a serious expression and a cup of coffee he wasn't drinking. Sam, I got a call this morning from someone claiming to be your wife. She said you've been violent at home and that she's concerned about your mental state affecting your work. Jim, Emily and I are getting divorced. She's making false accusations to try to gain advantage in the settlement. I figured it might be something like that. You've worked for me for 8 years, and you've never shown any signs of violence or instability. But I have to ask, is there any truth to what she's saying? None. Emily and I had an argument about property division, and she bruised herself trying to take things that belong to both of us. Now she's claiming I caused the bruises. Jim nodded slowly. I believe you. But if this escalates, if police get involved or if it starts affecting your work, we'll need to discuss your employment status. I understand. For what it's worth, Sam, I think you're getting railroaded. But company policy is company policy. I spent the morning fielding phone calls from friends and family members who'd seen Emily's Facebook post. Most of them didn't believe her accusations, but they were concerned and confused. The call that broke my heart came from my mother. Samuel, I don't believe Emily's lies for 1 second, Mom said. But I'm worried about what this might do to your reputation. People believe what they read on social media these days. I know, Mom. I'm trying to figure out how to handle it. Have you talked to your lawyer? She's my next call. Patricia Chen was furious when I explained the situation. This is defamation and possibly extortion, she said. Emily's making false accusations to pressure you into accepting her original settlement offer. We can sue her for libel and file a motion to have her social media posts removed. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. In the meantime, the damage to your reputation could be significant. So, Emily gets to lie about me publicly while we wait for the legal system to prove she's lying? Unfortunately, yes, unless we can prove she's lying quickly and definitively. I hung up feeling helpless and angry. Emily had escalated our divorce from financial warfare to character assassination. She was betting that I'd accept her unfavorable settlement rather than fight false abuse allegations in public. She was wrong. I called Dave and asked him to come over after work. Then I called Monica Franklin. Monica, I need your help. Emily's claiming I abused her, and I need character witnesses who can testify that I've never been violent. Of course, but Sam, I might have something better than character testimony. Rick's been staying at a motel since I kicked him out, and he's been calling me drunk every night, rambling about Emily and their plans. What kind of plans? According to Rick's drunken confessions, Emily's false abuse allegations were his idea. He told her to claim you hit her so you'd agree to a quick settlement rather than fight the charges. He said it was a foolproof plan to get your money and get out of town before his embezzlement trial. Please tell me you recorded those phone calls. I recorded everything. Rick's been confessing to all kinds of schemes, the fake abuse allegations, plans to flee the state, even admissions that he stole the money from his business. Monica's recordings were a gift from heaven. Rick, drunk and desperate, had laid out their entire plan in detail. Emily would claim abuse, I'd agree to her settlement to make the allegations go away, and then she and Rick would use my money to start over in another state. There's more, Monica said. Rick admitted that Emily helped him hide some of the stolen money. She's been keeping cash at her sister's house, money that Rick embezzled and gave to her for safekeeping. That made Emily an accessory to Rick's crimes. Not only were her abuse allegations false, but she was also involved in his embezzlement scheme. Patricia Chen nearly purred with satisfaction when I played her Monica's recordings. This changes everything, she said. We can prove Emily's abuse allegations are false and motivated by greed. We can also report her involvement in Rick's embezzlement to the prosecutor handling his case. What does that mean for our divorce? It means Emily's going to be lucky to get 30% of your assets instead of 60%, and she might be facing criminal charges of her own. Wednesday morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. Emily's name was on the screen. Sam, we need to talk. Through our lawyers, Emily. That's how this works now. Please. I know you're angry about the Facebook post, but I was just scared and confused. Can we meet somewhere neutral and work this out? There's nothing to work out. You falsely accused me of domestic violence. You're involved in Rick's embezzlement scheme. You tried to destroy my reputation to steal my money. We're done talking. What embezzlement scheme? I don't know what you're talking about. Emily, I have recordings of Rick explaining how you've been hiding stolen money for him. The prosecutor in his case is very interested in hearing those recordings. The line went quiet for a long moment. Sam, please, you don't understand the situation. Rick told me that money was from a legal settlement. I didn't know it was stolen. You didn't know your boyfriend was stealing money to fund your affair? You didn't know the $50,000 he spent on you came from his business partner? I thought he was just successful. Emily, you're lying. Again. Just like you lied about the abuse. Just like you lied about everything else. If you turn me in to the prosecutor, I could go to prison. You should have thought about that before you decided to help your boyfriend launder stolen money. Emily started crying. Sam, I made mistakes, but I don't deserve to go to prison. Can't we work something out? Here's what we're going to work out. You're going to post a public apology on Facebook admitting that your abuse allegations were false. You're going to accept a 50-50 division of our assets with no spousal support. And you're going to cooperate with the prosecutor in Rick's case. And if I do that, you won't report my involvement in the money? Emily, I've already reported your involvement. But if you cooperate and make this right, I'll ask the prosecutor to consider your cooperation when deciding whether to charge you. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. After that, my offer expires and you deal with the consequences of your choices. I hung up feeling something I hadn't felt in months: power. For the first time since discovering Emily's affair, I was in control of the situation. Thursday evening, Emily posted her public apology. It was brief and didn't admit to everything, but it acknowledged that her abuse allegations were false and motivated by anger about our divorce. Friday morning, she signed a settlement agreement, giving us each 50% of our assets with no spousal support. Friday afternoon, she met with the prosecutor and provided information about Rick's embezzlement scheme in exchange for immunity from prosecution. By Friday evening, Rick Franklin was in jail on additional charges related to money laundering, and Emily was officially my ex-wife. I celebrated by ordering pizza and watching baseball with Dave and Monica, who had become unlikely friends through our shared experience of being betrayed by the same people. "So what's next?" Dave asked during the 7th inning. "I'm thinking about selling the house and starting over somewhere new," I said. "Maybe Colorado. I've always wanted to live in the mountains." "What about Emily and Rick?" Monica asked. "What about them? Rick's going to prison. Emily's broke and unemployed. They got what they deserved." "Do you feel bad for her at all?" Dave asked. I thought about it honestly. I feel bad for the woman I married 12 years ago. But that woman disappeared somewhere along the way, and I don't think she's coming back. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Sam, this is Emily. I'm sorry for everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope someday you can understand that I never meant to hurt you this badly." I showed the text to Dave and Monica. "Are you going to respond?" Monica asked. I deleted the message without reading it again. Some conversations are over. This is one of them. We finished watching the game in comfortable silence. Outside, spring was turning to summer, and everything felt like new beginnings. I thought my story with Emily and Rick was over. I was wrong. 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized, I came home from work to find Rick Franklin sitting on my front porch. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing clothes that had seen better days, and drinking from a paper bag that clearly contained alcohol. "We need to talk," he said, standing up unsteadily. "No, we don't. You need to leave my property before I call the police. You destroyed my life, Sam, my business, my marriage, my reputation, all because you couldn't handle your wife choosing a better man." I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling 911. Rick stumbled toward me. "Put the phone down. We're going to settle this like men." "Like men? Rick, you're a thief and a liar who's drunk at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. There's nothing to settle." "Emily was mine first. We were together in college long before she met you. You stole her from me." "I stole her? Rick, that was 15 years ago. You had your chance and you blew it. Then you had a wife and kids and you threw that away too." Rick swayed on his feet. "Monica was a mistake. A rebound relationship that went too far. Emily and I were supposed to be together." "Then why didn't you marry her in college?" "Because I was young and stupid. But we found each other again, and we were happy until you ruined everything." I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Rick had convinced himself that he was the victim in this situation, that Emily and I had somehow wronged him by getting married after he'd chosen someone else. "Rick, you need professional help. And you need to stay away from me and Emily. Emily won't even talk to me now. She blames me for everything that happened. Everything that happened is your fault. You convinced her to make false abuse allegations against me. You involved her in your embezzlement scheme. You destroyed both our marriages for a fantasy relationship that was never going to work." Rick's face twisted with anger. "It wasn't a fantasy. We love each other." "Rick, Emily threw you under the bus the minute she found out you were going to prison. She gave the prosecutor everything she knew about your crimes to save herself. That's not love. That's self-preservation. You turned her against me. I didn't have to turn her against you. You did that yourself when you made her an accessory to your crimes. Rick reached into his jacket, and for a moment I thought he might have a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. She wrote me a letter, he said. Emily wrote me a letter saying she still loves me, but can't be with me because of what you did. What I did? Rick, what I did was expose your crimes and protect my assets from being stolen. What you did was embezzle $50,000 and convince my wife to help you hide it. The money doesn't matter. Emily and I were going to pay it back. With what money? You're unemployed and facing felony charges. Emily's unemployed and broke. You were going to pay back $50,000 with good intentions? Rick crumpled the letter and threw it at my feet. You think you've won, but you haven't. Emily's going to realize she made a mistake. She's going to come back to me. Rick, Emily's not coming back to you. She's not coming back to me either. She's starting over, just like we all are. The difference is, you're starting over from a prison cell. I'm not going to prison. My lawyer says we can make a deal. Your lawyer's lying to you. Monica gave the prosecutor recordings of you confessing to everything. Emily gave them bank records showing where you hid the money. You're going to prison, Rick. The only question is, for how long? Rick stared at me with the kind of hatred that comes from having your delusions shattered by reality. For a moment I thought he might try to hit me. Instead, he started crying. I lost everything, he said. My business, my house, my kids, my wife, and for what? Emily won't even return my phone calls. Despite everything Rick had done, watching him break down was uncomfortable. He wasn't just a villain in my story. He was a man who'd made terrible choices and was finally facing the consequences. Rick, you need to go home. Wherever that is now. You need to get sober, get help, and figure out how to make amends to the people you've hurt. What people? Monica hates me. My kids won't talk to me. My business partner's suing me. Emily's gone. Then you start with yourself. You get clean, you serve your time, and you try to become a better person. Maybe someday your kids will forgive you. Rick wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Do you think Emily will ever forgive me? I don't know, Rick, but I know she won't forgive you if you keep showing up drunk at people's houses making threats. I wasn't threatening you. You said we needed to settle this like men. What did you think that meant? Rick looked confused, like he hadn't thought through what he was actually planning to do when he came to my house. I just wanted to make you understand, he said finally. Understand what? That Emily and I really loved each other. That it wasn't just an affair. That we were trying to build something real. I looked at this broken man on my porch and felt something unexpected. Pity. Rick, I believe you loved her. I even believe she loved you. But love isn't enough when it's built on lies and theft. You can't build something real on a foundation of deception. We could have made it work if you hadn't interfered. Rick, I didn't interfere. I protected myself when I found out my wife was cheating and my assets were being stolen. You interfered with my marriage. I just responded to that interference. Rick was quiet for a long moment, swaying slightly in the evening breeze. I should go, he said finally. Yes, you should. And Rick, don't come back. If you want to apologize or make amends, do it through lawyers or mutual friends, but don't show up at my house again. Rick nodded and walked unsteadily to his car. A beat-up Honda that was a far cry from the Audi he'd been driving when this all started. I watched him drive away, then went inside and called Dave. Rick Franklin just showed up at my house, I said. What did he want? To blame me for ruining his life, and to tell me that he and Emily were really in love. How did that go? About as well as you'd expect. He's drunk, delusional, and feeling sorry for himself. But I don't think he's dangerous, just pathetic. Want me to come over? No, I'm okay, but if Rick shows up again, I'm calling the police. Good plan. How are you holding up overall? I thought about it. Better than I expected. I keep waiting to feel devastated about my marriage ending, but mostly I just feel relieved. That's probably healthy. Yeah, I think it is. After hanging up with Dave, I sat on my porch in the spot where Rick had been sitting and thought about the past few months. My marriage was over. My wife had cheated on me with a criminal. I'd been falsely accused of domestic violence. I'd lost half my assets in a divorce. And yet, I felt better than I had in years. For the first time in a long time, I knew exactly where I stood. No more wondering if Emily was lying. No more suspecting that something was wrong, but not being able to prove it. No more living with someone who'd rather be somewhere else. My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Rick came to see you, didn't he? I'm sorry. I told him to leave you alone, but he's not listening to anyone right now." I stared at the message for a moment, then typed back, "It's fine. He's your problem now, not mine." "He's not my problem either. We're not together, Sam. We haven't been since I found out about the money laundering. That's between you and Rick. I'm out of it. I know you probably don't believe this, but I really am sorry about how everything happened. You deserved better." I deleted the conversation without responding. Emily was right. I had deserved better. But more importantly, I was finally free to find better. 2 months later, Rick Franklin was sentenced to 3 years in prison for embezzlement and money laundering. Emily moved back to her hometown in Wisconsin to live with her parents while she looked for a new job. I put my house on the market and started planning my move to Colorado. Dave helped me pack on a sunny Saturday morning in August. "Any regrets?" he asked, taping up a box of books. "About the divorce?" "None." "About how you handled it?" I thought about that. I could have been more graceful, more forgiving. But honestly, Dave, I'm proud of how I stood up for myself. For years, I let Emily make all the decisions in our marriage. I was passive, accommodating, always trying to keep the peace. When she betrayed me, I finally fought back. And won. We all lost, really. Emily lost her marriage and her reputation. Rick lost everything and went to prison. I lost my marriage too. But you kept your dignity? Yeah, I kept my dignity. The moving truck arrived Monday morning. As I watched the movers load the last of my belongings, Mrs. Patterson came over from next door. "I'm going to miss you, Sam," she said. "You're a good man, and you handled all this drama with more class than most people would have." "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson, that means a lot. For what it's worth, I never believed Emily's accusations for a second. Anyone who's watched you two over the years could see that you were the one trying to hold that marriage together." I hugged my elderly neighbor goodbye and got in my car for the drive to Denver, where I'd accepted a job with a construction company that specialized in mountain resort projects. As I drove away from Minneapolis, I thought about the text that had started it all. "Don't be jealous. It's just a harmless trip to Miami with my ex." Emily had been wrong about it being harmless. That trip had destroyed 2 marriages, ended a business partnership, sent a man to prison, and changed all our lives forever. But maybe it wasn't entirely harmless, wasn't entirely bad. Maybe some things need to be destroyed before better things can be built in their place. I rolled down my windows, turned up the radio, and drove toward the mountains and whatever came next.